Welcome to the Tips for the Trades podcast, where we explore practical strategies to help service companies thrive in a very competitive market today. I'm your host, Jeremy Lowe, the Senior Director of Content and Training at the Service Fusion Business Academy. And I'm bringing you insights today into boosting efficiency and profitability in the field service industry. In today's episode, we're going to talk about one of the most important skills for any successful business: how to negotiate with vendors for the best possible prices. Effective vendor negotiation impacts everything from your product cost to the level of service you receive. Do it right and you'll optimize spending, quality, and delivery while building a solid long-term relationship with your suppliers. Do it wrong and you'll end up overpaying, straining your finances, and souring partnerships. Over the next half hour, I'm going to share with you my top tips that I've collected from contractors all over the United States for conducting smarter and more successful vendor negotiations. So get ready to start reaping the reward. Our first tip is know your need. I can't emphasize enough how crucial it is to fully understand your business requirements before you begin any negotiations. Clearly define what you need in the terms of price, product specs, quality, delivery speed, and anything else that's vital to your operations. An example is if you're ordering electrical components for a job. Know the manufacturer you want, part number, and the quantity of your purchase. Decide in advance if you'll let a vendor suggest an equivalent replacement manufacturer or part, or if you will only accept what you've requested a quote on. Will you be willing to purchase a larger quantity to get a better overall per piece price? What's your budget? And when do you need these items by? If a prepay or net 10 discount is available, are you willing to leverage these price breaks by paying sooner for the products than 30 days? Having the answer to these questions will prevent scope creep and speed up your buying process while ensuring you get the best pricing possible. Our next tip is carefully research your vendors. Never enter talks with a vendor without scoping out the supplier landscape, whether it's your current partners or the alternatives you may have never used. Talk to your competitors. Find out what vendors they feel are the most competitive. Talk to manufacturer reps at trade shows about their ideas on where you should buy. Talk to partnership groups such as Service Nation may have leverage with specific vendors. Understanding general vendor pricing and reputation allows you to benchmark and give yourself leverage when negotiating by knowing about your supplier. Do your homework. Some vendors may be the cheapest, but not always have the best service, or the opposite scenario may exist. Determine what is most important to you, price or the quality of service, or a combination of both, and find where your vendor's strengths lay before you ever pick up the phone to call them for a price. Now that we know what we need and we've researched our vendors a little, it's time to go and build some solid relationships. Positive vendor relations increase flexibility and the odds of scoring better terms. Let a new vendor get to know you. Bring them over, give them a facility tour, discuss your business vision, and tell them what you're looking for in a partner. Try to foster rapport through clear communication, reasonable demands, and seeking win-win deals. Burning bridges by always bouncing from vendor to vendor or beating on a vendor continually to be the lowest possible bidder benefits no one and certainly does not do good things for a relationship. But you must be sure to set clear objectives. Well-defined negotiation objectives keep talks aligned to business priorities. Be explicit about must-haves versus nice-to-have. Know exactly what concession or outcome will constitute a win for you. Stick to your must-haves, but remember, price negotiations at times require we meet a vendor part ways, so allow for some flexibility in what price you're willing to pay versus what you absolutely must get and the minimum level of service you expect. Getting that rock-bottom price is great, but maybe it's not so great when you always have to struggle to get your parts or supplies promptly delivered, or what's sent to you is not correct. So rank what's most important to you in the transaction. Is it the price or the service? I can't emphasize this enough because it's a very important part of vendor negotiation. So stop for a moment and consider the total value your vendor brings to the table. Don't fixate on price alone. The cheapest vendor could mean terrible service. You have to evaluate factors like the quality of their service, their reliability, their response times, and how will all those things impact your operations and expenses if they're subpar. If orders are always late, wrong, or materials keep getting substituted without your knowledge, that cheap price again may not be as cheap as you think. Is that first-class service worth a percentage point more in what you pay, or are you willing to sacrifice better service for deeper savings? Always be willing to explore creative solutions. Rigid demands often stall deals. Stay open to the alternatives that largely meet your needs while addressing limitations a specific supplier may have. For instance, is the vendor recommending an alternative product that meets all the specs but is just a different brand? Can you get a better price on it with a pre-season or bulk purchase? Could you wait on the delivery date so it fits the vendor's schedule better? Or can you give the vendor time to shop from their suppliers to give you a better price? Some compromise ensures that you still get improved value. Try and purchase at the right time. This may be, in my opinion, the most favorable hidden leverage point: purchase timing. Ever notice how desperate sales reps get at the end of a quarter or year end to make a target? Or how aggressively they compete during off-peak demand seasons with excess inventory burning holes in their pockets? Shrewd negotiators pounce when the time is right. Say you know vendor X braces for losses in Q1 when orders typically plummet. Slide in then with a juicy but conditional offer when management will pull out all the stops to clinch a sale. Suddenly, that 15% discount you really wanted may be within reach if it helps steady their financial ship. As for you, cheap off-peak pricing easily offsets slower revenue months. So invest early in parts and supplies you may need for the approaching season, but do so carefully. Remember, stocking the shelves for a small savings in the future isn't worth the ROI if you strangle your cash flow now. But hey, listen, if you have the cash, then try to buy off-season and collect the savings. Of course, remember, timing works both ways. If you're too predictably shopping deals every Black Friday or busy spring, vendors are going to spot the pattern and avoid blowing out the true rock-bottom pricing. So keep them guessing on when you're going to come knocking for that low price. Another tip is think about bundling your purchases. While we're surprising suppliers, catch them off guard by also bundling purchases from one vendor. The bigger the total deal value is to a vendor, the greater your leverage for demanding discounts across your itemized order list. Plus, this simplifies supply chain management for you. Two birds meet the one stone. Learn to leverage your competition. Now, this next skip skirts on danger, so employ it cautiously. I call it the competitor card. Float to vendors that you're soliciting competitor bids, which should be no surprise. Fear of losing your business should motivate package sweeteners, but don't bluff a price without a solid alternative, or you might scare off essential suppliers. And if you're always beating on the supplier over price, they may want to avoid a relationship with you. The goal remains to build win-win partnerships with our suppliers, not burn our bridges. After all, suppliers are in the business for the same reason we are, to make profit. So we have to allow them the opportunity to do that. But at the same time, we have to balance it with our need for good pricing. Look for purchasing incentives. Finally, money does make the world go round, so tap into financial incentives. Suggest paying invoices ahead of schedule or imply future loyalty in exchange for initial bargaining leniency. Always ask when making a large purchase what added considerations a vendor will provide, from those prepaid or early pay discounts to savings on shipping. Offer a secure lock on purchasing from that vendor for the year if they make it worth your while financially. Most will happily sacrifice short-term profits if confident of eventual long-term gain. Just ensure you deliver on promises. If you commit to buy for a vendor for a longer period of time, remember that vendor has a long memory, and defaulting on that promise will affect future pricing. Another tip is always think in bulk. Bulk purchasing is perhaps one of the best ways to leverage buying power and get the attention of any vendor and motivates them to sharpen their pencil. A pallet of refrigerants, a pallet of motors, a full stock of locks, electrical panels, or a pallet of garage door openers usually motivates vendors as they can get better pricing based on the quantity of product they move and will gladly pass on some of that savings to you if you buy in bulk to help them buy in bulk. Be aware that if shopping for bulk, it is the best time to also get competitive bids to motivate that favorite vendor of yours to be ultra competitive. Just because you're buying in bulk and getting a discount does not mean you should stop shopping. Just make sure that you have the space to store all those goodies you're buying at a serious discount. And finally, be sure to secure commitments. Handshakes just don't cut it. After an alignment is reached on pricing, immediately have the vendor document the terms to prevent misunderstanding. You need something to reference back to if a vendor later backtracks on their pricing. Well, that's our tips for this podcast. So let's review these tips one last time, how we can negotiate with our key suppliers and partners for better pricing. Number 1, clearly define your needs for the deal. Number 2, thoroughly research potential vendors and alternate vendors. Number 3, build a rapport and positive relationship with the vendors you want to do the most business with. Number 4, set firm yet reasonable objectives. Know what price you're willing to pay before you pick up the phone. Number 5, remember to look beyond just pricing. Consider the total value the vendor brings with the quality of service they deliver. Number 6, entertain creative win-win solutions. Ask the vendor what will give you the best possible price beyond purchasing just that specific component from them. Number 7, purchase when the time is right for the best possible pricing. Pricing from vendors does have seasonality. Number 8, explore the power of bundling multiple purchases from one vendor at one time to lower costs. Number 9, don't forget to leverage the competition pricing with your favorite vendor if needed. Just be reasonable in waiving that lower price in their face. After all, you may be doing business with them because they provide better quality, not just a low competitive price. Number 10, look for purchasing incentives and be sure to always ask about what's available. Number 11, think about buying in bulk. And finally, number 12, formalize agreements for accountability. And those, my friends, are the top-level strategies for mercilessly dominating vendor negotiation. Use them in combination where possible to maximize value so these margins can really shine. Sharpening your negotiation skills takes practice. But I'm confident that employing these strategies will soon yield dividends. More favorable contracts, fewer budget headaches, and more reliable partners. And trust me, your bottom line is going to thank you. Well, I hope you found this advice useful. Please tune in to future episodes as we tackle other key business performance topics to help you grow profits and business value while making your company less stressful to run. So until next time, this is Jeremy with Service Fusion and the Service Fusion Business Academy. And I encourage you to look at our award-winning workflow management software system designed to make your company easier to manage and help your profits grow. Used by over 8,000 companies, come see why Service Fusion is making waves in the software industry. Now, my friends, go out there and build something great. This is your trade, your business, and your legacy, so make it count. Remember, in the trades, every small improvement adds up to big results. Until next time, keep it growing, keep it efficient, keep it profitable, and keep making your business the best it can be. This is your Tips for the Trades, signing off.